Hi, this is Ken Gidge, and this is Gidge World, and welcome to it. And for the second time, I have Cindy Rosenwald. Did I pronounce it properly?
Perfect.
Now, before we came on the air, I said Rosenwald. Now, I want you to tell our listeners the lesson she gave me in English. Now, how does it work?
You're all going to know this already, except for Ken.
Except for Ken. Go ahead.
Right. This is a phonetic rule about long vowels. And the rule is consonant, vowel, consonant, silent E makes the vowel say its name. So because it's R-O-S-E, the O is pronounced O.
Oh. Well,
That was
of
easy.
course everybody would know that. I was sure it's like Einstein's theory of relativity. I mean, that's... well, guess what? Well, welcome back.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy. You will be here, I can't say often, often as you want. And if I don't do the show, you will sit in one day, probably.
I guess we could talk about
We
that.
could talk about that. I just, corralled her in there. But we were the first, this show, the very first in-studio produced show was this show, Gidge World, and the very first guest was Bernie Streeter. And let's hope that Mr. Streeter, I've talked to him recently, and I think he's getting along fairly well. He's been a little ill, and he will come on, he said, as soon as, he feels a little bit better. But, so, what we have tonight is a drawing, and this drawing is for a two-night stay at the, is that Stonewall Inn?
The Stonewall Inn.
In Wyndham. Is that wrong, Cindy? The Stonewall Inn.
No, that's right. You mean
Is
on
that-
my phonetic rule?
yes.
Because look, stone.
Stone.
So there's the consonants,
Okay.
then a vowel,
Then a vowel.
then another consonant,
Yes.
and a silent E
Okay.
made that vowel in stone say its name.
Okay, now what? No, that's not what I meant, Cindy. You see, I meant the Stonewall Inn in Wyndham, Vermont.
Right.
Is that how it would in? I don't think so.
Well, you could say the Stonewall Inn at Wyndham, Vermont.
Ah, you see? So is this person more intelligent than I am?
How about Wyndham, Vermont's Stonewall Inn?
Ah, you see? You're right. Do you right?
No, but I'm a former English teacher.
Oh, there we go, English teacher. No wonder.
That's how I know those rules.
Yes, and this is quite interesting because it's one will receive the following, ready? Two-night stay for two in a standard room. What do you think a standard room is?
I think it's probably not quite as big as a deluxe room.
A deluxe room.
But I bet it's really nice.
I don't know. They're knowing Richard, it's probably a little. No, you don't think
I bet
so?
it's really nice.
All right, okay. Well, it's free, and that's what counts. Winner will receive the following two-night stay. I hate saying standard.
Oh, well then don't say that.
We got to, okay, in a room, okay.
At a beautiful Vermont country inn.
Ah, yes, and the value of this is per night $189. I told you it was a very
Nice.
small room. And,
But that's not all.
daily continental breakfast for two, afternoon snacks. What do you think they'll serve for snacks?
Cheese whiz.
Oh, really?
Cookies.
Yeah.
Maybe cookies.
Yeah, well, I'm English. Well, tea and...
Crumpets.
What the hell is a crumpet? You're an
I
English
think
teacher.
it's like
What is
an
it?
English muffin. Very similar.
You've had crumpets before?
I've seen them.
You've seen them at a distance. And you
Yes.
decided not to get next to
Yeah,
them?
well, I don't think I've ever had one, but I've seen them.
Okay, I'm English. I've never had a crumpet.
Oh,
Drank a lot of tea. I didn't know that. But anyway, a crumpet. We're not saying they're getting crumpets, but they're getting snacks with coffee and tea, see? Mm-hmm. So the snacks probably, as you, a Frito or
or a cookie.
a cookie, okay.
But look at this.
What is it? Oh! Well, go ahead.
Well, also with your room, if you're the lucky winner, you get a $100 gift certificate to a local restaurant in the Wyndham, Vermont area. That's fantastic.
That's really good. And by the way, now this is for real. People have filled out the little questionnaire they had, and they've sent it. We don't know what's in this box. We know it's paper, nothing alive. I already checked that out.
Okay, good.
But it's probably their email address.
Okay.
Okay, or maybe the name. We will give it out. But they're going to get a 2-night stay. It's valued at $189 per night, continental breakfast, snacks in the afternoon, and plus a $100 gift certificate for a local restaurant.
That's really nice.
That's wonderful.
Just for taking a survey.
Survey. And what Richard has told us, and that's the person who runs the station, Richard has said, if the people out there see that we're really honestly giving something away, all right, they're going to do it again.
Oh, good.
All right, so you
So
ready?
he's going to have another drawing
He's
for
gonna have
another
another
prize
drawing.
in about a month,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, probably more than a month, knowing.
Well, I thought he said around the beginning of March.
Well, it's cheap.
Okay.
Well, the small room. A snack. And what's
Snack?
a crumpet? I have no idea. All right. Okay, so we're going to open. Now, we have worked this out, so I'm going to hand you one. Is that?
Or I thought I was going to pick it and hand it to you, and you were going to read it.
Well, I was going to give you somebody. All right, so here we go. This is honest to God. Really? You shake it once to make sure that people, it's like, all right, she's shaking, I'm shaking.
That's
All right, we got to get someone. All right, here you go. Go ahead. Take one out.
Okay.
No, the other one. Good, that's mine.
Okay.
Here we go. Good. This is, go ahead.
B. Bartlett 8 at Comcast.net.
B.
As in boy.
Bot. Is this English? Is this Bartlett spelled properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Bartlett 8. B. Bartlett 8
All right.
at Comcast.net.
Okay, so they get it's really kind of neat because it truly is 2 nights with a snack and a $100 gift certificate, and
Just for taking that short survey.
that's correct.
Wow.
Now remember, and this is no fooling because you have won this, and this is B Bartlett 8 at Comcast.net.
Do they have to call the station, or is Richard going to email them?
Knowing Richard, he's already emailing them. And probably before the show's done, we'll have them run in.
Well, congratulations to B. Bartlett 8.
That's right. And we will be doing another one. And Richard thought that we should do the first drawing on this show because we were the first show
Right.
to be produced.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting for her or him.
Can't tell.
Oh, how about if it's one person? Do they get half the money?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? No, that's not fair. How about if somebody, do you think they want to sell us? Probably.
I bet they can't.
No, we'll give them $50 or something like that. No, we can't do that. All right. We had a great show planned, and we just wasn't good enough. So what we decided to do is do something, and I thought you brought it out, and I was thinking the same thing as the great Romney. Not caring about the poor. Would you were talking about that a little. Yeah.
Well, he's been criticized a lot in the last day for saying he wasn't very worried about the very poor.
Oh.
And in fact, that was taken out of context.
It was.
It was, because what he said was, I'm not worried about the very poor because they have a safety net.
They do.
And I'm not worried about the very rich because they're doing fine.
Yes.
So I'm going to worry, I guess, I think he said, about the middle class.
Oh, I see. So, but you see, under the past administration, the middle class went poor and the poor went indigent.
That's right.
That's right.
Right.
So,
And we have a tremendous and growing amount of poverty here in America,
yes.
the richest nation on earth. And we have poor people in New Hampshire as well.
Well, when people go to the food banks and there's no food, or 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% rise in people needing food from the food banks, does Romney think, is he going to help that? Is he going to take some money and buy food for the poor? Or how do you think he's going to do something? I mean, he's very rich.
I don't think he was suggesting that he was going to do something himself about the safety
But
net.
it already exists.
But the safety net is fraying. It is. There are more people who need help, more people who are elderly, poor, ill, disabled, even here in New Hampshire.
Yes.
And My concern is there's a thinking, I think, and it was articulated by Newt Gingrich, that there's a safety net kind of a life, that people get into some of these programs and they lose the will.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Be motivated, they lose the will to work, and they stay in the safety net forever, as if you could stay on welfare forever. But that hasn't been true.
That's been gone a
for
long
10
time.
or 15 years.
That
hasn't been the case. So these programs are much more temporary. They're more strict. And I think the notion that people are just lazy is belied by the fact that people who tend to need assistance are ill or disabled or elderly.
And
those things aren't going to change.
No.
Right.
No. Well, you're being very nice to Mr. Romney. I don't want to be, because I don't think anyone's saying we shall not worry about the poor. I think you ought to really worry about the poor. You ought to really think about the poor, because the middle class has moved down to poor, and the poor has gone to indigent. And right here in the state, matter of fact, I believe we have, well, you would know because you were at the Hillsborough County Committee executive. Last year we had, what, $23 million, which was a surplus?
Yes.
$23 million surplus, and this year they wanted to save money, so what the Republicans did is they decided the best thing to do is, why don't we just get rid of 5.5 social workers, which the cost is $441,000. That sounds pretty good, except the social workers came in and said, excuse me, we keep people out of jail. We keep people in schools. We stop people from committing suicide. We help people, as you said, the poor. They help the poor get help. And I think that's, and we still, by the way, have a surplus. And I think that that's pretty bad. So that, to me, is the attitude of Romney, too.
Well, I remember some of those intervention programs that Hillsborough County was running, and some of them were to take youthful drug and alcohol offenders and prevent them from becoming adult addicts.
That's correct.
To try to, nip it in the bud, really. And I believe we cut all that money last year.
$260-something thousand. They saved about, I believe about over $500,000. And in fact, a judge came in and testified that, look, I don't really want to send these kids to jail, or people. They are not bad. They have had, some rough times. I don't want to send them to jail. So we would send them to this organization, and they would take them in, and they would have to be very, very strict, or they would go to jail.
Yes, very strict. Yes.
And well, what did they do? They eliminated that. So they eliminated, I would say, $650,000, and there's probably $2 million worth of good. Keeping a person out of jail is what, $32,000 a year or something like that?
It's about that. Right. It means they can stay and be productive working members of the community, maybe continue their education, be parents.
That's right. That's right. I have two things that really bother me. When I hear somebody say that they're not thinking about the poor, that's who they ought to be thinking about. As you said, the richest country in the world, and we have this taking place. I'm not sure if we can, keep saying stuff like that, especially when, if you go to Cuba to have a baby, your chances of it living are longer in Cuba than they are in the United States. The infant mortality rate is lower in Cuba than the United States. That's pretty bad. What do you think? You think that's bad?
I think that's pretty bad. However, we do have a very, very good infant survival success rate in New Hampshire, fortunately.
Yes,
because it means that women who are pregnant are getting good prenatal care.
That's right.
And some of that is,
I'm sorry.
A lot of it is delivered by safety net providers. So if a woman gives birth to a healthy baby, that saves money for everyone.
Exactly. And Well, I think anybody is two things they shouldn't do. First of all, they'll never say you're not thinking about the poor, because once you get to that area and start looking around the world, all of a sudden we come down a few steps. But also the other one, Cindy, about doing on a national basis. Iran will not get a bomb. I don't care what we're going to do, what we have to do, even if we have to start a war. Does that make any sense to you?
No. I don't think I would start a war with Iran.
Well, I just can see it coming.
Can you?
I can see between the Israelis a little upset. And, yeah, they certainly have a
They
right
have
to
a right to be upset.
Right to be upset, but it's all about religion. I was thinking about that the other day. Think for a moment. Here's Iran, and the Iranian young people really like us. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they have a puppet government that supposedly they elected, and it's the Ayatollahs who run the country. So there's this religious, fanatical group running the country, and maybe that's what people are more upset about, of them getting the bomb.
Oh, I think that is what people are most upset about. Plus, they threaten Israel all the time.
Well, let's go to Israel, because, and I've said this before, I don't know why people don't talk about the two Israels. There's one Israel that wants peace, and there's another part of Israel that will do anything not to have peace. And the fact of that is that they assassinated one of the prime minister at a peace rally. But on the other side, it's the same thing. They don't want peace. So again, it's religion.
And real estate. And resources.
Cindy, yes.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Real estate. Have you traveled? Have you gone to Israel? Have you traveled to Israel?
No, I've never been in the Middle East.
Where have you? You're a traveler at all?
I travel, but
where have you been?
Well, I've been all over Europe. I've never been to South America, and I've never been to Asia, and I've never been to the Middle East.
Ah, and where would you like to go?
I really want to go to Croatia.
Okay, here we're gonna. would you reach in there?
Yeah, exactly. My free trip to Croatia.
Your free trip. Yeah.
I'd like to go to Asia. I'd like to go to the Middle East.
Well, our son is in China right now, and he actually is going to be moving close to Hong Kong, which he was living in the northern part of China. So Lee and I, my wife, thinking, well, that's easy to get to Hong Kong. But when he was living in the northern part of China, it's colder there than it is here.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, but so I'm not sure if that's where I would like to go.
To Hong Kong.
Oh, well, I probably would, but.
Have you been to Asia?
No. I've been to Hudson, New Hampshire.
Okay.
A few times. No, I haven't. Actually, I haven't traveled that much. Canada, that's it. In fact, I can tell you a story. I will not tell you this story. It's a true story. I got thrown out of Canada. That's correct. I got thrown out of a country. Not many people can say that.
No. Are you going to tell me the story?
No, I certainly won't.
Okay.
Now, have you ever been thrown out of any place?
I got thrown out of a shoe store once in New York City when I was a teenager with my two sisters.
Really?
Yes. I think they knew we were not going to be buying shoes.
Oh, so what were you doing?
We were just kind of looking at them. They were very expensive shoes. No, they weren't even our style. They were old lady shoes.
Old lady shoes?
Yeah.
And who threw you out?
The owner.
The owner?
Yeah.
Was it a small store, a big store?
It was a small store.
Very
and then
small.
he said to us, "Don't worry, I got thrown out of Switzerland."
He got thrown out of Switzerland? I got to get together with him. Everyone who's been thrown out of a country, please call.
Well, I've never been thrown out of a country.
No, wait a
only
minute.
a shoe store.
No, that's interesting. You ran and the guy got thrown out of Switzerland. You're sitting here with a guy who got thrown out of Canada. What else have you been thrown out of?
Oh, I think that might be it.
That's it? A shoe store? Mm-hmm. Oh, come on. That's not. Switzerland.
That's an exciting life I have.
It's an exciting life. And we're having fun, or attempting to, but we got a presidential election coming up there. Newt Gingrich, we'll just throw things out. Newt Gingrich, what do you say? What do you think about Newt Gingrich?
Well, I think what's interesting about him is Republicans I know who I've been talking to think he's not only a dinosaur, but a loose cannon and a liability to the Republican Party. And that's what I'm hearing from Republicans around New Hampshire. So I think that's pretty interesting.
And I heard he got thrown out of Hudson, New Hampshire. I got to tell you, I have a story about Newt Gingrich. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about it because you're pretty intelligent. And as people know, you are a state representative, and I am also. And you're well respected. And I'm at the end of the row. You know, you got to think about that. You know what the number one seat is? Everybody, to get to a number one seat, you got to be really, what, number one?
I guess you have to be in leadership,
Yeah,
right? Because those are front row seats.
Yeah, I mean, yes, right in the front row seats, such as the individual who runs our Democratic Party. Norelli would be in the front seat.
Yes.
Okay, now, I oppose Norelli with Campbell, okay? Now, I know where you sit. You sit right down.
No, I'm in the last row of Section 5.
What?
I'm in the last row of Section 5. It's a 2-seat row.
You are? Mm-hmm. That's the best seats in the world.
It's a great seat.
Get the hell out of there. No one's going to
near the
step
window.
over you.
Right.
Well, they put myself basically at the last seat. Okay? It sounds like you're at the last
What
seat.
section are you in?
I'm
4.
in 5.
You're in 5?
I'm in 5.
So am I.
You're in 5.
You're in 4.
No, you are in 5.
I'm in 5.
Well, that's right, because that's what I'm trying to figure it out. No, 5 is the good place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best place to be in a whole building.
I was in 5 in my first term, and then I spent the next 2 terms in 3. Now I'm back in 5.
Well, no.
It's great.
No, you sit with everyone that they think of as
I sit
important.
with the Democrats.
Well, you sit where 5. To explain it, your license plate reads what?
5-42.
Okay. Now, a
What's
lot
yours?
of people, 568. That's right.
No, there's no 568.
468.
Okay.
No,
No, I'm in the last row of Section 5. You're in 4.
I'm in 4. But you're the last row. But
I am.
that's a great place.
It is because there are only 2 seats in
Yeah,
the row.
and again, well, anyway.
And I like my seatmate,
Who's your seatmate?
Representative David Cody from Nashua,
Ah,
Ward
yes.
4.
Well, he's smart, isn't he? I don't think he's been thrown out of anything.
Probably not.
No, I like David. David's been a big help. Yeah, David's a, but anyway, I want to get to the seat things, okay? Now, as I said, you have to be something to have a number one seat, or in that area. Now, to be in 5, you have to be someone special.
You have to be a Democrat to be in 5.
Well, I know that, but I mean, you're in the area where a small group of people.
Well, there are 42 people in my section.
Okay, and it's the section with all the bigwigs.
Oh, with the leadership? There are some in Section 4 as well.
Ah, yes. Now, my point is, to get to be number 1, you have to do something, correct?
You have to be, I'm trying to think about the people who were sitting in those first rows in all 5 sections.
Yes.
They're committee chairs. They're majority and minority leaders.
Yes.
They're assistant majority and minority leaders. They're essentially people who get up and speak at the microphone all the time.
Okay, and that's a problem, in my opinion. Now, what are you there?
What's my position?
Yes, what's your
I am the deputy Democratic floor leader.
Floor leader. Of 42 people?
No,
Or the whole
of
floor?
102 people.
I thought we had
102
103.
Democrats, 103 Democrats.
Jeez, I thought one died off. I didn't
No,
know about it.
103.
All right, 103.
And I think we'll have another one later on this month. There's another special election coming up
Oh, boy.
in Manchester.
104 compared to 290 what? 8 then? Or no, 96. Yes, 96. 296 to 104. That's awful. Do you know that? Do you realize that? I think I was talking to the Secretary of State. This has never happened before. Never like this. In fact, I think once it was even where we are, but it's never got worse.
Right. I think that's true.
What did we do wrong?
I don't think we did anything wrong.
No, I mean, you're a good person.
Well, I think we got hit with a tidal wave election.
Of lies. Would you say lies?
No.
You
I
wouldn't say
wouldn't
lies. You wouldn't say, well, just
Oh, I would just say this was a
screwed up.
wave election where
Wave election.
pretty much anyone who had a R after their name
You know how they did it.
got elected.
Yes, but you know how they did it. See, Sununu was really smart.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is how they did it. I figured it all out. How they did it was they didn't run against issues in New Hampshire. They ran against Pelosi, Harry Reid, Obamacare, and all of that. So they ran for national issues because as the new people come in, they're trying to write federal law.
Right. I agree with you.
So here we go. That's how all you have to do is just not talk about New Hampshire. Talk about
Arizona.
That's right. Talk about people you don't like.
Talk about Arizona's border control.
Oh, that's awful. Well, let me finish this story. We'll get to the
Okay.
border control. Anyway, you have to be something, correct? To be in a 42. Well, you are something.
Okay.
All right. How does somebody get in the last seat? Now, you know what the last seat is?
No.
It's where I sit.
Are
now-
you in the last row?
Oh, no. That's not how it
Oh.
works. It's the last. So listen, there is a Republican here, there's a Republican here, and there's a Republicans behind me. How did this happen? Are they trying to sell me to the Republicans? Are they hoping I'll jump ship? What? How does this happen? Now, we know how it happens.
How?
Well, because I voted for Campbell instead of Norelli, and they punished me. It's a punishment.
You think?
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, think about it. You get to the first seat by doing good. Well, I got to the bad seat because I did bad.
Because you got kicked out of Canada.
Arizona, you brought that up. Want to talk about Arizona?
Yep.
Never been to Arizona.
I have been there once.
Where?
Scottsdale.
Oh, that's not Arizona.
It's
that's
not?
a snooty.
I went to a conference.
Oh, yes.
It was beautiful,
I've got
actually.
stories about Arizona.
You do? Okay, so Arizona. Yesterday, as you know,
Yes.
we voted on a House concurrent resolution to support Arizona's tough immigration law, which has parts of it have actually been struck down by a judge. The sponsor of it,
Was
unelected.
who?
I can't remember. Oh, no, the Arizona sponsor. I can't remember what his name was.
So we voted on that yesterday.
Because apparently many people, thought the New Hampshire House of Representatives should say that we support Arizona's immigration law.
I think me getting in the back seat was a better story than this one, but no, there we go. They caring about New Hampshire? No, they're in Arizona. Why don't we send them and leave them in Arizona? I'm getting really upset about this.
Are you?
Let's see, today, are you ready for this? I'm in Commerce, and that's we don't know why they put me there, because I really,
You didn't ask for it?
well, I asked for it, but why would they give somebody an important position like banking and insurance? And I know why, Consumer Affairs. You know what we had today? Bunnies and chickens.
How'd it go?
The chickens won and the bunnies lost.
I think you had a very important bill today, and that was the health benefits exchange bill.
Yes. Would you like to talk about it?
I would actually. So part of the Affordable Care Act, and really interestingly, the most Republican part of that law, because it was the Republican idea pretty much from Massachusetts, was to create a virtual online marketplace for private health insurance for people who did not have employer-sponsored health insurance or government-sponsored health insurance such as Medicaid or Medicare. And this has been running since 2006 or 7 in Massachusetts. It's been functioning well. It is really literally an online virtual marketplace. So part of the Affordable Care Act is that by January 1st of 2014, every state have come up with a decision on how to have this online virtual marketplace, which is often called the Health Benefit Exchange or the Health Insurance Exchange. And it would be available to people who are not eligible for other health insurance and have incomes up to 400% of the federal poverty level. So it's for people who are starting from low income to certainly moderate income. And the decision that all states have to make, as you know, is that by next January, they have to tell the federal government whether they want to set up this virtual marketplace themselves or whether they want the federal government to come in and do it for them and charge the state to run this marketplace. New Hampshire is one of a few states that has not yet decided to have a state-run exchange. And this is a place where the House and the Senate are not on the same page, because the Senate is pretty much decided that it's better for the state of New Hampshire to control its own destiny in this area and have a state-run exchange. But the Speaker of the House and some of his other caucus members,
Manus.
Okay, Representative Manus.
Who sits right across from me.
And I'm not sure who else is on House Bill 1440, I think it is. I'm not sure if that might be the wrong number. They have decided that not only will New Hampshire not set up its own state-run exchange, but we will flout federal law, and we won't let the federales do it either. So
we will have nothing.
We will have nothing, which is in direct violation of federal law.
Well, I can update you on that.
Okay.
Because we had a work session today on exactly that bill. Mm-hmm. And it was Manus and his cronies, and these
Free staters,
free
aren't
staters.
they?
That's right. I didn't want to get serious today, but we are. Okay, free staters. Now, what is a free stater?
Well, you know him better than I do.
Well, but you know McGuire.
I do.
Well,
the Free State Project, I think, was an initiative of some no government.
Correct.
They might say small government, but I might say no government libertarians who decided to move to New Hampshire, start lives, and run for elected office.
And start running the government.
Right.
And McGuire happens to be the one, for those who do not know.
There are two McGuires.
Yes, but McGuire, the one I think with the big guy, is that correct?
Yes, Dan McGuire.
Dan.
Sits with me on the Finance Committee.
Correct. He did something, and I think you were talking about he's retired at 40-something years old.
And he retired in his 40s.
Why doesn't he buy another jacket? I thought he was poor.
No, he's
got
poor.
the same jacket all the time.
I don't know.
Well, and he's also a grandmaster at
Bridge?
Monopoly. Bridge, oh yeah. Okay.
Monopoly?
No.
Okay.
Bridge.
So what did you do with that bill today?
Well, no, let's get,
Okay.
we're going around.
You just want to have a gossip session.
McGuire was the one who put the bill out to get rid of the rail.
Yes.
In this part of the world.
He also was behind taking 50% or almost 50% of the money away from the University of New Hampshire.
Oh, yes.
And he would actually like to take away 100% of that funding.
Oh, was he also in with getting rid of all the money for TV 13, excuse me.
Channel 11?
Yeah.
That's not his bill.
No.
He may have voted for it. He probably did, but
Valancourt.
the
I
Steve
think Valancourt
Valancourt.
had something to do with that.
Yeah, that's his bill.
Yeah. Well, Dan McGuire.
They sit on either side of me in committee.
Really?
Steve Valancourt, me, and Dan McGuire.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm in between the
Wow.
libertarians.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't think she's strong, you got to see these two guys, right? I mean, really. Last year, Valancourt was considered how can I say this nicely? The court jester, a funny guy, clown, singing, dancing. This year, because they're in the majority, they consider him fairly profound. How does that happen? Okay, well, Dan McGuire, he did retire at a young age, 40-something, and now they're free stater, and they're taking the state over. And one other thing is the rail system and a few other things. But I've got to tell you this, Dan McGuire came up with he didn't come up with it. Actually, there was a representative named Mooney who came up with a teacher's protection bill.
Maureen Mooney?
Former
rep?
Yes.
From Merrimack.
Former rep. And she tried to put this bill in. So Dan McGuire put it in, and my wife is a school teacher and has been having some very, awful times. She's not retired. So when I saw it, I just said, Dan, I want to get in on it. So, okay. For bills, anybody usually comes up and says, I want to get on. Everybody goes, sure, please, more the better. But then he would come in. This is true. He'd come in, he'd talk the bill, he'd get up and leave. So it was my wife, myself, who would call the union, make sure the teachers' union president was there. They would get teachers in, some people in administration in. Now listen to this. It passes, right? Zip, say 20-0. It goes out to the House, voice vote. It is put into another committee. It goes into that committee, passes that committee, passes the House, goes into the Senate, and the Senate, I think, voted, it was like 5 or 7-1 or something like that to suggest that it pass. 3 Republicans who I said, don't do this, wanted a committee of conference, and then they gave the senators hell because they wanted to change 3 words, and the senators said no. They gave them such a hard time, the senators got up and said, we're done. We're going to recommend not to pass it. Can you imagine that?
What was the bill?
It was a teacher's protection bill. But now at this point, that's how you're in politics, you know how it is to get something through. We did it twice.
And you haven't gotten it yet?
We're going for a 3rd time. And I haven't had, the teachers union has never endorsed me. How polite, they said, we won't endorse you, but we won't tell the teachers to vote for you, not to vote for you. Mm-hmm. You've always had the teachers.
I'm not sure I have, because I don't usually fill out surveys.
Oh, then you haven't?
No. I just don't fill out surveys.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, if you
I
didn't,
think they're always...
excuse me, hold on a second.
Well, not this survey.
Well,
I didn't fill this one
hold
out
on
either.
a minute now.
Maybe I'll do the next one.
Maybe we ought to do this over again.
Maybe I'll do the one in March.
Yeah, well, okay. Maybe, yes. You don't fill out surveys?
I know why I don't fill out surveys, because, well, you get them and they're from different unions or organizations, and they ask you to commit broadly to an issue before you've ever seen legislation on it. I don't do it.
Well, I remember when I first got involved with this politics, and actually it was Jane Clemens who got me involved with it. And that's a funny story how I got voted in the first time. But anyway, I filled something out and it made a lot of noise, and she called me up and she said, never fill anything out. Never fill anything out. And that's awful that people will put that commitment. They want you to make a commitment.
They want you to commit before you've seen legislation. I can't think of very many things that I feel that I can just make a blanket statement on before I'm presented with a bill, I think my constituents would rather have me actually think about a subject before I vote.
That's right. I feel the same way, actually. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back. We're going to
Okay.
take a short break. This is Ken Gidge. This is Gidge World, and we'll be back in a moment. This is Ken Gidge. This is Gidge World, and we're back, and we have Cindy Rosenwald, right?
Very nice.
Yeah, better than the last time I pronounced it. We did this.
We did?
And by the way, do you think we're overpaid up there? $100 a year?
Yeah. 92 after taxes, isn't it?
What?
We pay Social Security taxes.
Yes, yeah, but Medicaid too? Or
Medicare?
Medicare?
No, I don't think so. I think just Social Security.
Wow,
Maybe Medicare.
I think so. We get paid.
I think it ends up being about $88 a year.
On the first month we get a check in the mail for the whole 2 years, which is $185.
Something like that.
And what do we get, $25 or 50 cents a mile?
I think.
Yeah, 50 cents a mile, as if we're lucky. But they took 2 days away for people who, the Speaker of the House thinks that they took Mondays and Fridays away.
Right, and when we came back first session in the fall for vetoes, we didn't get mileage reimbursement on those days.
Now, I want to help save money, but there are a lot of people who come like, what, 2.5 hours to get here?
Yeah.
And some of these people, if it starts to snow from the north, have to stay in Concord? I mean, does the state pay for that?
No.
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 Why do we do this?
Well, I think we like to govern ourselves.
I knew it was something. That's always a question, because I got in an argument with an individual, and he says, hey, you're in politics. I said, yeah. I said, I'm a state representative. State representative. Oh, you guys riding around these big cars. And I says, well, how much money do you... No, you guys you're just politicians. You're just so bad. You're all alike. You steal. And I said, do you know how much we make? No, but I said, well, tell him, what do you think? How much? He says, $40,000, $45,000 a year. I says, $100 a year. And the first thing he went is, why do you do it? And the fact of the matter is I think the first time you get voted, you're not sure. After the second time, you know why you're there. Mm-hmm. Because we were talking about a bill earlier. If you would like to recap the bill.
The Health Benefit Exchange
Correct.
Bill. Representative Manous, you said, filed it?
Correct.
Would prevent the state from complying with the provision of the Affordable Care Act that there be a virtual marketplace for people who don't have other insurance to be able to shop. Or at least get information about.
Correct.
Right.
So basically what happened was, and that's my committee, it's Commerce, and today we had what was called a work session, which we sort of work over this before we go into an executive, which means we vote on it to send it, to the House floor. He had to put in an amendment because it was brought to his attention that if we did not agree to part of this, we're going to lose $40 million. So somehow...
Only $40 million?
Well, it was $40 million at the beginning. Okay, we were immediately lose $40 million.
Was that Medicaid reimbursement?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we had to do exactly what you said. We had to do something. So he put an amendment in because...
That said what?
That basically said that he would not argue about the first part of the bill. The bills, as you know, don't come all in one piece. But not to get too technical. So, they get very technical, as you know. But what he did want to pass after that was that New Hampshire in no way can form an exchange or receive or take any money at all from the federal government. So,
So we'll be having a federal exchange. Is that?
well, I don't think, I think there's got to be a little bit more work on that, because what we talked about was it was voted down even by the Republicans.
Why?
Because you cannot, we want our government to run, and we want it to run right.
Mm-hmm.
We all want that. And we all want it to run with no fat. We're all that way. But you can't starve yourself. Like, for instance, we're talking about the rail. They want to give back $4.1 million just to study it?
Well, the thing about those health insurance exchanges is the federal government was going to pay the entire cost of setting it up. Now, I know that the law says that once it's set up, they must be self-sustaining. They have to have some kind of funding mechanism, because the federal government is going to pay, would pay, to develop a state-run exchange. They would have paid the entire cost for us to develop a state regulatory mechanism to serve the people who live in New Hampshire. But we gave all that money back, didn't we?
Yes. That's very smart.
$1 million.
Yeah, well, you know.
$1 million.
Right, right. We will, I had one committee meeting, okay, and I walked in, and we're usually in rooms that seat probably 25 people. I walked in, and they opened the curtains or roll back the doors, and you could seat 100 people.
Oh.
I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I read the bills, but I didn't understand. Well, what they wanted to do was, if we did not, and this is almost not similar, it has the same flavor, but not the same thing. If we did not accept $20 million from the federal government, the federal government would use this money, and they would run almost what you were talking about. This is just another one. They would run this particular organization that would finance insurance, something almost, it's hard to explain because it's almost what we were talking about. They're so complicated. Anyway, they brought in the senator. The senator says, no, we don't want the money. And finally, I go, excuse me, let's see if I've got this straight. You don't want Obamacare. You don't want a government involved with it. But yet, if we don't take the money, they're going to run it. And about half the people got up and left because they just figured this is a joke. But this is what we're up against, isn't it?
So where do you think that bill's going to go?
I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think today, when you see the Republicans, even the Republicans, the way they talked, and this is just a work session. Mm-hmm. It didn't get bloody, but there was a couple of Republicans there who don't say much. As you know, this does happen, but these people really spoke up against it.
Oh, really?
So, I think, and also what they're talking about is, you know, if it's thrown out by the courts, then what are we going to do? And why don't they think ahead? Do you think we're in for more of this?
More
Republicans the next time around, this upcoming election?
I think we'll have some. I don't think we'll have as many. I think they're too extreme.
I don't think people understand that.
I think people are paying attention.
Well, I'm not. I don't think they realize giving $20 million and $1 million and $4 million back to the government. We don't want it. Again, we were talking about the free staters.
Well, there was another bill that I think we'll be voting on soon to give back $61 million in federal education aid.
Where's the camera? Where's the camera?
$61 million.
Okay, I want you to look at it. We're going to give
$61 million
61.
back.
That's a 6 to 1 mil.
61 for education.
So if I say this is really dumb, you would agree?
Well, I don't think I'd be giving it back because if you're going to replace that money, you have to raise it locally.
Right. So you would agree that it's a bad idea.
I would
And
not be voting for
doing
it.
this? What party is doing this?
The Republican Party.
All right. Now, I don't think there are Republicans out there who really want to do that.
I'm sure there are some, but I don't believe that it is the majority of them. I don't.
No. And I think there will be some changes because I think there are people out there like school teachers, etc., and
parents.
And parents.
There are many people who want their children to be well educated. And yet, there are bills before the legislature this year. Let's see. Here's one. Establishing a committee to study the effects of compulsory school attendance on children and families. Do we really need to be studying that?
Say that again.
Let me say that again because it's so unbelievable.
Hold on. She has to say that. We got to give. Go ahead.
House Bill 1162, establishing a committee to study the effects of compulsory school attendance on children and families. You know what effect I think they'd find? The children learn. Children have an education if they're going to school. How about, let's see.
That's dumb. That's really dumb, right? You agree? We agree. What party is that from again?
That's from the Republican Party.
There's the camera, $61 million, going to give it back, and they're going to study what? Just one more time. I want to make sure everyone hears it. Republicans. This is what your Republicans are doing. Go ahead.
A committee
We're going to get in trouble for this, aren't we?
To study the effects of compulsory school attendance on children and families. Here's one.
That's
rolling back the school dropout age.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good idea.
That's something I think everyone will understand.
Okay.
Okay, now.
How about?
Let's talk about that one a little because this is pretty important stuff.
We have one of the lowest dropout rates in the United States.
In what country? Not.
Well,
in the United States.
New Hampshire has one of the lowest dropout rates now in the United States.
And you think they want to change this?
Yep.
Yep. Well, that's Republicans. And by the way, when I point and say Republicans, I don't mean all Republicans, obviously.
No, of course not.
But there are a lot of people up there, they have no idea between the Tea Party and the Free Staters. The Free Staters said that this is what they were going to do, and guess what?
They're doing it. Here's one. House Bill 1712, it requires teaching the Bible in public school.
It requires. Mm-hmm. Okay. In public schools. That's good.
Repealing the 180-day school year requirement.
Repealing it. To do what?
To mean that schools don't have to run 180 days.
What party is doing this?
The Republican Party.
Republican Party. They're going to love us. No,
I'm sure they already do.
This is what we go through. This is what me trying to explain what happened today. It's so confusing sometimes. You got another one?
Here's another one.
That's impossible. It's impossible to have two pieces of paper and have that many crazy things on it.
House Bill 1148.
All right.
Requiring the teaching of evolution in public schools as a theory.
Evolution as a theory. I don't know. What do you think about that? Think they ought to teach evolution?
I think schools ought to teach lots of different things.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I got you. Do you think they should teach religions?
Yes, I think schools should teach religion.
I disagree with you.
But I think they should teach it as religion, not as science.
I absolutely disagree. Boy, wait.
I don't think it should be required except in a religious school.
Well, what religion would they teach?
No, all religions. Lots of religions.
Oh, just
500
religions?
Well, I think it's important to learn about the world's major religions.
But
I think I wouldn't teach it as science.
No, but I'll tell you, I think they should teach philosophy.
Okay.
Okay, so you got the kind of all religions, basically, when you take them down, have the same philosophy. Would you agree? You wouldn't agree.
I don't know. I think it's important to know about the world's major religions. I do.
I do. I do
I
also,
do.
but I'm not sure. That should be an after-school thing.
Really? Oh,
No? Okay, we disagree.
yeah.
I've never disagreed
think
with
it
you
should be
before. You're
required.
not bad disagreeing with.
Well, I don't think it should be required, except in a religious school. Then it should be required.
There we go, in a religious school. So we can get a rate. All right, not in public schools, religious schools.
Well, I think it should be offered in public schools, and if religious schools want to require it, I think that's their right.
That's right, but I don't agree with you. And
Oh.
I say philosophy. I think Plato and Socrates and Gidge and Kant. No, excuse me.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't going to slip that one by. Now, hold on. You got 4 pieces of paper. It's
I do.
impossible for you to come up with one more crazy one. Okay, you ready?
Don't say
All right.
impossible.
Where's the camera? There's a camera.
Oh, wait a
okay,
minute.
there you go.
Eliminating the criminal history record and protective order checks for sale of firearms?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, that was on the first page.
No, explain that, because I got a good one for you on that. Go ahead. What is it?
It basically says they're going to eliminate, if you want to buy a gun, you have to have a background
Yes,
check
make
done.
sure you're
Well,
not
this would
nuts.
eliminate that.
Yes, they will eliminate that.
Yes. Requiring a vegetarian diet for inmates of the Department of Corrections, state prisoners, to require them to become vegetarians.
Requiring,
how
that's
about-
a hell of, in some cases, that could be a hell of a punishment.
How about prohibiting state employees from wearing perfume?
What?
That bill was being voted on today.
Don't wear perfume.
Yeah,
Can we wear deodorant?
that was
That
not
could be-
clear from the text of the
Okay,
bill.
so this was what party?
The Republican
The Republicans,
Party.
right? Can you look up there again and just say it's from the,
The sponsor is a Republican.
yep, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Republican party. Don't vote,
That's nanny state.
pardon me?
Nanny state.
What?
Don't you think? Saying you can't wear perfume if you're a state employee?
Yeah, and
What if we had filed that bill?
Oh my God!
Can you imagine what they say?
Yeah, well, this is
nanny state, nanny state.
Yeah, but that's socialism, something like that. Didn't Mao have everyone with a little book and everyone dressed the same?
And couldn't wear perfume?
No perfume.
Let's see. Okay, so that was easy. That's just.
This was an easy one. Okay. Nowhere. No, of course, we take up committees.
How about decriminalizing marijuana?
Well, I'm for that.
Okay, that's a Republican's.
How about, that's a
Sponsor?
Republican? No, that's a Democrat, too. I think of it, what,
Free stater.
another free stater, decriminalizer. Well, I've got a better one than that.
Yes.
All right. You know FRM. FRM
Yes, I do.
Okay, this was the largest.
I know where you're going with this.
What is it?
This one, the Securities Regulation Bill.
Yes.
They don't want it to be a felony if you commit securities fraud. And why is that? That they don't want the penalty to be a felony. If you
Because-
commit securities fraud and maybe defraud elderly New Hampshire people out of their
Yes.
life savings,
Yes.
why don't they want it to be a felony?
So let me see. So when the people don't go to jail, 'cause
What
it's only a
can't
misdemeanor.
felons do?
Well, vote.
What else can't felons do?
Buy guns.
You got it.
Aha! But I'll give you a little bit more to that one
Okay.
because I was on the committee
And you're the sponsor.
and I'm the sponsor. That's right.
So you have it
Let's
in front
see.
of me.
It is. In fact, I sponsored both of these, but my name is only on one.
Okay.
Okay. What happened was, this is Manus again. This is a Republican. This is a free stater. So should we say Republican and free staters, or should we just say free staters? 'Cause
Let's
that's
say
not-
free staters.
Yeah, because that's not fair to Republicans.
Because I think that there have been the occasional Democratic free stater.
I haven't
I
run
think.
into one.
Okay.
I haven't run into. They're all Republicans.
Okay.
Okay, so what this is good. So now the FRM was a big deal. It's securities, banking, AG's office. This was just a mess. In fact, there's a book written about it by Mark Conley, who
Yes.
yes, I've got it.
He was the
It's
securities
required reading for anyone who wants to
regulator.
know about New Hampshire and thievery. But what he did was they wanted to move a misdemeanor up to a felony. Okay? Very simple. And the reason why was a felon can't, right? So I say to Manus, okay, give me an idea of how much somebody can steal. How much money can they steal? From old ladies or people who are rich? How much? $1 million? $2 million? What is it? He says, we just don't want people to be felons. So if you steal, now this is, I said before you could drive a 747, you can put a Galaxy through this one. If you steal securities and you do not go out of state, meaning like, federal wire, transfers, etc., the only thing, and $1 million, the only thing you'll get is a misdemeanor.
And that is because felons can't buy guns.
And the people, when I said this about a week ago to Manus, how much? $1 million? And he said, we don't want people to have felonies. Even some of the Republicans in the back got up and walked out. It's because it's ridiculous. There comes a point where when you steal from somebody, you should be punished. And I think someone who steals that much money shouldn't have a gun.
Well, they should be a felon.
Got another one? We can't have any more.
Okay, you think that's it?
No, please.
Oh, you think I won't find another?
It's impossible.
Bill.
It really is impossible. You can't.
You can't.
That's like 5 or 6 of them right there, and I can't even tell you the ones. There's so many. Cindy?
Yeah, no, I'm
Finding
looking.
one?
I'm looking.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, she's trying to find another bill.
I'm looking for one that's really, really out there.
Really crazy by Republicans, by the way. Well, maybe free staters. Do you have one? It's impossible. I don't think people would even believe that you got that many out of these few pages.
Oh, there's so many.
Here she goes. And by the way,
how about the bill to take away the constitutional authority of the Superior and the Supreme Courts in New Hampshire, which would have the effect of making the judicial branch subject to the legislature? So you remember from school about the 3 equal branches of government? Now there would only be 2. Remember we voted on this yesterday?
This gets too dumb.
We voted on this yesterday in session, remember?
Yeah, I know.
It didn't pass, but
No.
47 people did vote for it.
47, but for it to even get to the House floor without it being ITL.
Well, the recommendation was ITL, but there was a big floor fight over it, remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Republicans. Again, I want to make something really clear when I say Republicans. There are some Tea Party people and also some Free Staters. And Free Staters, I think people should kind of watch because they're doing things kind of weird. But the majority of this craziness and money's taken away from things like drug and alcohol. So in other words, kids and families having great problems, and also social workers. Give me a break. 5.5 social workers, and they take away the money. This just gets a little crazy. You're still looking for another one?
Oh my, it's an embarrassment of riches. So I'll stop.
All right. I think we're going to stop also. Now, you have a website. Do you have an email address?
I do.
Well, let's hear it.
My website is cindyrosenwald.com.
You have a whole website?
Of course, don't you?
Well.
I have a Facebook page. I have a website.
Well, I feel, okay, go ahead.
My website is cindyrosenwald.com.
Okay.
And my Facebook page is Cindy Rosenwald for NH.
Really? And my website is gidgeworld.com.
Yeah.
Which it is actually 2 websites because I'm an artist. Not very good, I'm not making much money, but it's gidgeworld.com, Facebook, befriend me or friend me, or whatever, defriend me.
No, don't defriend.
No defriending. Well, look, the whole idea is to point some fingers at some really dumb things that the Republicans are doing, but they're not really Republicans, some of them are free staters, et cetera, but it gets really kind of nuts. And I think that Cindy will be coming back as much as she wants because up in Concord, both sides of the aisle have great respect for her. They have great respect because of her intelligence, and you're mean, I heard.
No, I'm not
Meaner than a junkyard dog, I'm telling you.
Mean?
Well, no, you fight. You're a fighter.
I'm not mean.
How could they have you in between Valancourt and McGuire?
And I get along fine with them.
That's impossible. They don't get along. Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get along, so they put you in the middle. All right. So, my email address is kgidg@kgidge@aol.com. Facebook, friend me, not defriend me, right? And gidgeworld.com. You can go there and look at artwork and find out a lot more. And we want to thank Richard for doing all the camera work. And hope you had a good time because we just wanted to just relax a little. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Good night.
Good night.